Okay, hello everyone. We are waiting for Ariel to join us because we reached a limited time and I think we have to start the live show again. Let me see if Ariel has joined us or not. No, she hasn't joined us yet. Let me see if I can send her. Okay, everybody, we are waiting for Ariel to join us. As I told before, we reached the limited time of live show on Instagram and we are waiting for Ariel to join us again. Okay. Okay, I just text Ariel and ask her to join us again. Yes, of course, we are going to save the live. And we are still waiting. I text her, don't worry, she's gonna be here in a couple of seconds. Okay. Waiting for Ariel. Okay. Hello again.
Hi.
I'm sorry, we reached the limited time of IG live show. It's 1 hour and we have to save the video and start it again. I just saved the video and now I think, yes. We are going to continue. Okay, I want to ask you about our daily activities. How do our daily activities affect our musical career, musical journey, or anything like that?
So these habits of misuse, right? These habits of tightening, we get good at what we practice. So if all day long I'm sitting collapsed, right? And I'm sitting on my respiratory system, and then I want to sing, and I magically think I'm going to open everything up. And it's not just singers. You know, when you play a guitar, you would not sit and put a blanket over your guitar. It would dampen all the resonation of the instrument, right?
Yes.
You wouldn't lay a blanket on it. It would stop the instrument from vibrating and resonating. Well, every bone in your body is conducting sound and is resonating sound. And so when we dampen our instrument all day long, and then we think we're going to magically pop into some buoyant balance, you've gotten very good at dampening your buoyancy. And so you're going to bring that and probably start to push instead of release into support. So these mindful moments are super important. Plus, you have so many strong habits around your instrument. Those are harder habits to break. So if I can get you to start to move, it's why I make up these little exercises. It's not the exercises that are important. It's the thinking. It's getting you to tune in away from the strong habits around your instrument so that it gets easier to bring that buoyancy to the instrument. So getting people to watch how they climb stairs or reach for doorknobs, right? So that they're not going towards the doorknob, but staying in balance to open a door. Those little mindful moments that then, if you're being mindful on your way walking to the concert hall, you just warmed up. You just warmed up the coordination you want to use when you get on stage, when we're ready to do that again, of course, safely.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'm just checking the question that I have written to ask you. That's why the subject is going to change, again and again.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about the curriculum in colleges, universities. Is Alexander technique one of the subjects and one of the less? I believe that it's not a major university, but when you are studying performance, even music, dance, or stuff like that, you have to pass a class of Alexander technique. Am I right?
I don't know if you have to pass a class in Alexander Technique. Almost all of the acting programs here in the United States have Alexander Technique now. And then music programs are following. So Juilliard, Boston Conservatory, most of the major Alexander programs at conservatories, Curtis, where I teach, have Alexander Technique. But it's not available to all students in the way that it is usually. Acting programs usually serve more of their student populations. And I think part of that is the culture in music is to really cover up injuries. People are afraid to come forward and say they're injured. And so sometimes I feel like our expression is a salmon swimming upstream. You know, I feel like I'm going across the culture to say, no, no, no. You want to know if there's an injury. You want to deal with it sooner rather than later. And you know what? We get smarter when we're injured. So I don't want any career to end because of an injury. To me, that is just heartbreaking. And if I can help a student, what's so amazing is that a lot of the students come at Curtis because they're injured, but they stay. They stay because what opens up is artistry. So it's not just so you don't hurt. Who wants to play music so you don't hurt? You want to play music to make beautiful music. So
Yes.
The reason why I started that music conference was I wanted to help let people know how important Alexander Technique was. You know, I was at Santa Fe Opera for 2 summers. I want to reach more and more musicians. And it's still a little bit of a best kept secret. So I'm hoping more and more people will find out about it. And yeah, I think part of it is learning to partner with the teachers so that they know I'm not trying to encroach on what they know, that I'm like the pit crew. I help you do what your teacher's asking you to do. Yeah. I'm not competing. Yeah.
Yes, you're easing the way, actually. You're easing their movements and they can do whatever the teacher wants.
Exactly.
And,
yes.
Talking about the musician and injuries, no, unfortunately, musicians don't want to accept that they have been injured or they are under pressure or they are suffering pain. I don't know why, but for example, other activities, just imagine an athlete and a professional athlete. No, for example, he may suffer injuries, he may face some problems, and it's normal, you know. It happens because we have repetitive movements and repetitive motions.
Yes.
But for musicians, you know, in my point of view, musicians are athletes of small muscles because the muscles that we use here are too small, you know, compared to the ones that professional athletes use. So they may face more injury because they are not big and strong enough. But musicians don't want to accept them. I don't know what the problem is. Maybe they are afraid. They are, let's say, too shy to accept it. Do you have any idea about this and what is happening to musicians?
Well, I think you're onto some good clues. And again, the training is lacking. So what you and I are doing is helping, because even by bringing to attention that the more musicians educate themselves about their own movement, that's going to help prevent injuries. It's also going to help you solve a path forward to healing from injuries. And so, you know, cultures change slowly, right? Cultures change with time. So every time I work with my students, and I'm working with a lot of students that are pre-professional, I'm already talking to them about when you teach, please teach your students to mind their own movement and to know that the quality of their movement is important. Please teach your students that if they're, and talk to your friends. At Curtis, I'm like, I try to use the tell your friends if they're hurting, they should come see me. Don't ignore it. Let's change the culture that you're ashamed, that you think there's something wrong with you. Musicians get injured all the time. Allow that to be an entree to learn something, because then you'll actually come on the other side of that smarter and better at what you do. And if you start to understand injuries that way as an invitation to learn something, then we're really starting to change the culture. So if you're injured, play less. Play in shorter amounts of time. You want to play so that you're not re-injuring yourself. That will keep you injured a long time. The worst scene I ever saw was I had a pianist come to see me that had played through pain and could no longer button her clothing and could no longer feed herself. She had to go home so her mother could clothe her and feed her. That was a mistake. That took her a long time to recover, and I am happy to tell you I don't hear from her anymore. And I'm assuming I don't hear from her anymore because she's okay and she can play. But I was so shocked. I had no idea at the culture, and you know, we all know different instruments are different. Well, pianists are really intense. They practice more than anyone.
Yeah.
Sorry, they get the prize. They get the prize. They practice
Yeah.
way more than anyone else. And guess what? They injure themselves worse because they're
Yes.
so focused on keeping going. So if you have something you're preparing for and you're injured, if you have to practice 3 hours, don't sit down and practice 3 hours. Practice 15 minutes. Go do something else. Do some free movement. Come back. I know it's hard what I ask. I know it's not the way you've trained, and I know it's not the way you think you'll be productive, but I challenge you not to believe me and try it. And let me know how, message me, let me know how it works out. But you will heal faster and you will get more done if you're not re-injuring yourself. Because if you're tightening up and pushing through, you put the parking brake on your Ferrari, it's not handling better. Never, never, ever.
Yes, the same situation happened in MuseMuscle. We have a lot of people, musicians who come to our, let's say, classes and ask, okay, I have faced lack of control. They cannot, for example, hold a pen. It comes off, you know. They have lost their control, and MuseMuscle, we call it disobedience. We say your muscles don't, don't operate what you want, and that's the problem that we call disobedience. And unfortunately, it's getting more and more, and the numbers are growing, and more musicians are facing this situation. And as far as I know, they stay to the last moment. They come to you when they have faced debilitating condition or problem that is out of control, and they say, okay, fix me today. Which is impossible. It takes time, because for example, as a musician, you have played for 10 years and now you are injured. Okay, it takes a period of time to get rid of that injury and change your habits, of course. I was reading an article about the number of musicians who are injured, and surprisingly, the research was taking place in Australia, if I'm not mistaken, and 84% of the symphony orchestra were injured, which was, a shocking number. And I believe 54% of them had, stayed home at least one day in the last 18 months because they could not, go to the concert and or go to the practice session and play the instrument, which is awful. The number is growing and we are not aware of it,
Exactly. The numbers are shocking. And there's not enough people saying that's not right. And we shouldn't just assume that, of course, we're going to get injured. We should assume that when we're injured, that's useful information and it's telling us something that we need to know. And we need to find something out. So that disobedience that you're talking about locally, the problem is that most people, if they go see a physical therapist, I'm not saying you shouldn't see a physical therapist, but a physical therapist is going to go very local and try to train and strengthen muscles locally. But I'm here to tell you that problem is not just a local problem. Remember my thinking problem? So if I try to control my hand from my hand, instead of understanding that my hand is connected. So for instance, really good support for your hand comes from your back muscles. So if you try to get more control locally, you'll probably go from your upper traps, right? That tensing from the top, which is actually not very agile and not good control. The better control is from underneath. Dancers call it arms from the back. But the thing is, I don't really have to teach you how to use your back muscles. If I get you to actually ungrip and come into balance, guess what muscles you start working? The ones that are better suited. The right thing will do itself. Yes. I love that. It happens with wind players all the time. They are so obsessed about breath control, breath support. And they're all overworking their abdominal wall. Oh, I need more support. And they're tightening their abdominal wall. And what they're doing is they're disconnecting their support when they do that. And I'm not saying you don't need good breath support. I'm not saying your abdominal wall doesn't work, but here's the funny thing over and over. See, sometimes it's good not to really know what you know, because when I help my wind players come into balance and get buoyant and ungrip, all of a sudden I see their abdominal wall get really responsive. And I go, oh, you just used your breath support more. But I didn't tell you to use your breath support more. I told you to come into balance more. And when you come into balance more, the right thing did itself, because that's what you needed and that's what you used. So it's a thinking problem. It's a thinking problem. Yes. So when you have a disobedience problem, don't fix it locally. You want to fix the whole buoyant balance, and you don't want to over control, and don't just work harder by gripping. It doesn't, that's not music we want to hear, quite frankly.
Yes, I quite agree. Thank you, Ariel. Thank you for joining us. And I really enjoyed everything. And it was wonderful. I learned a lot from you and your knowledge. Thank you for sharing, because it's perfect, of course. And we have all, and you all have to put it into practice, because it's absolutely necessary for not only for musicians, you know, it's applicable to all the people around the world who actually care about their health.
May I invite your followers to my class on Fridays, Hamed? Is that okay?
Of course. Yes,
so
of course.
I'm going to put my website, let's see. I teach a class just for musicians on Zoom every week. And you can find information about it. I'm just going to put my website here. Let's see.
I asked everyone to join. I joined once, and it was wonderful.
Well, I'm inviting everyone. It would be my great delight to have you join. And it's a Zoom class, and it's on, I'm in the East Coast of the United States, so it's 12 o'clock noon Eastern time on Fridays. And I hope you'll join me. I would love to have more visitors. So
it's going to be 8:30 in Tehran local time. 8:30. The difference is 8.5 an hour.
Yeah, 8:30 Friday night.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. And I want to thank everybody that joined in our live show, and especially Mr. Babai, the founder of MuseMuscle Method. He was here and he was watching us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you again, Ariel. I hope to see you soon. And that's it.
Hope to see you again. Stay safe, everybody.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Okay.
How do you do?
Yes, I'm gonna tell the people in Iran in Persian a little bit about the session, and then I'm gonna end the session.
Okay.
Okay. You stay with us or just leave? It's your choice.
Oh, I'll stay for a moment. It's fun to hear
Okay,
Persian.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. خب سپاسگزار از همه که اضافه شدیم بهمون. جلسه خب همونجور که گوش کردین راجع به تکنیک الکساندر بود با خانم اریل وایس که یکی از باسابقه ترین هستن. در واقع 32 ساله که تکنیک الکساندر رو درس میدن و 22 ساله که به صورت تخصصی روی موزیسینا کار میکنن توی امریکا. توی دانشگاه و کالج‌های مختلف به صورت کورس‌های مختلف برگزار میکنن این قضیه رو. ممنون از همتون که شرکت کردید و امیدوارم که لذت برده باشید و مثل من کلی چیزی یاد گرفته باشید. از همتون کمال تشکر دارم که بهمون اضافه شدید و به ویژه آقای بابایی استاد خود من که در واقع بنیانگذار متد میوز ماسل هستن، به ما اضافه شدن توی این لایو و داشتن ما رو نگاه می‌کردن. سپاس از همتون، خیلی خوش اومدید. شبتون بخیر. خدا نگهدار. بای.